that I wouldn't waste, I wouldn't do so many things. If I had a choice of being 25 again, but having the same consciousness I had when I was 25, I'd rather be nicked and scraped and beaten by time, but be a little more conscious than being young and energetic and foolish. We can turn this down just a little bit, just a pinch. And what usually happens is now they turn it off. So just a pinch. Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu. Thank you very much. All right, Krishna, thanks. Hey, Govinda. Jaya Radho Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radho Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Dirivanadari Gopijana Balaba Dirivanadari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuni Tira Vanatari Jamuna Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Dirivanadari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Boom Hare Rama 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 Jai Raro Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Raro Madhava Kunda Bihari Jayum Vishwapad Paramahansa Paribhajakacharya Siddhadashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Abhaycharan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Guru Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Nam Char Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Sari Guru Bhakti Vrinda Ki Say Sri Radha Krishna Gopina Shama Kunda Radha Govardhan Ki, Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mathura Dham Ki, Dwarka Dham Ki, Navadi Dham Ki, Jagannathpuri Dham Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Sambhita Bhakti Vinda Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Say Siddhara Giridhara Ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki, Gopremanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine Lord Sita Sri Sri Guru Varanga. We can move this seat because I'm relocated, if you haven't noticed. Thank you, Guru. And you can also get the lights. No. I'm not going to just send this big thing. Yeah, I could, thanks. Appreciate your offer. It's a little bit of a danger turning the lights down. There was a no. I'll get there. Don't worry. Ooh, with a vice grip. What is that? Jeez. We used to do this at schools, high school classes. You know, when the devotees would go and speak, and it was to give them a sense that they're not this body. And we dim the lights in the classroom and say, now close your eyes and feel that your consciousness is leaving your feet. It's leaving your legs. It's leaving your, we said it in a hypnotic voice. You feel it, you're leaving your fingers, leaving it. And then, we brought him to a point, you say, now, okay, who are you? You're not your body. What is the self? It was an idea to give them a sense of, an out-of-body experience, that they're not the body. The only problem is when we turn the lights on, usually half the devotees would be sound asleep, If you take a few devotees with you for kirtan, they'd be out cold, It was a little bit embarrassing. So I'm a little concerned we turn the lights down, we'll turn it back on, and half of you will be asleep. We'll see how we do here. So we're going to do two things today. And one of them, this is, as I was saying, that we have these there's a weekly Zoom call of the international governing body. This is the GBC, and we've got different either physical zones or areas we're responsible. I'm, believe it or not, responsible for the 10 western states of the United States, all the way from Hawaii to Colorado. And other devotees have particular areas or fields. So Gauranga Prabhu, he is a member of the GBC, recent member, trained up by Radhanath Maharaj, and he oversees the Radhanath Maharaj's responsibilities in Western India, Pune, Chaupati Temple, the Govardhan Eco Village, so things like that. But he also is, as you'll see, developing some very innovative programs in India. So that's Gauranga Prabhu, little introduction. And these are dioramas from the Govardhan Eco Village, which is about an hour and a half north of Bombay, Mumbai. Okay, next. Thanks, Prabhu. Yeah, you can go to the... This is all of these are different organizations he started. And we're going to go through they're the logos for different organizations, different initiatives. You'll see. Next. So the first one is the, you've heard of the Bhaktivedanta Research Center. It was started by Hari Sari Prabhu, was Prabhupada's servant and a secretary and a retired GBC member like that. And it collects rare Vaishnav manuscripts. And this is a new branch in Puri, has over 3,000 books in it. We got this sadhu showed up, very elderly, member of the Gaudiya Math, disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he showed up with an old school bus full of the handwritten diary that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to keep daily, all kinds of just far out stuff. The original Bhagavad Gita that was of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his personal Gita, with all kinds of notes in it, different, just amazing stuff. So how is all that preserved, digitized? Where is it all? So Hari Sari Prabhu started it in Calcutta, and now Gauranga Prabhu is helping, and they've expanded it. So here you see that, I don't know how much you can see from these pictures, but they're researching the old temples, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found the 5th chapter Brahma Samhita in South India. They're finding all kinds of very blissful things, you'll see. Okay, so here they're digitizing the Nadia Prakash. Nadia Prakash, we'll say more about that in a moment, but that was the daily newspaper started by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He had 6 different newspapers and magazines being printed by the Gaudiya Math. Some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly. The Nadia Prakash came out daily. And there's a famous, I forget who it was, one of the big, in the Independence Day, one of Gandhi's associates, big politician, asked him, how in the world do you write a daily newspaper on spiritual topics? He said, in this planet, there's so many newspapers. I mean, there's so many newspapers, all mundane news. And this planet is just, there's unlimited planets in the universe, and this universe there's unlimited universes. If you had a bag of mustard seeds and you had one mustard seed, that's what this universe equals. So if you've got so many newspapers, millions of newspapers in this universe, how about the unlimited spiritual sky? He said, actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you could print a newspaper about the spiritual activities at every second. So they've got 40,000 copies, images from the different Nadia Prakash. This is Ultadanga. We're going to say more about that later on. Ultadanga is the original Gaudiya Math, first center started by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Kanchipuram, they're getting that. They're working with National Geographic and the Indian what is it called? The Archaeological Study of India. ASI, yeah? Yeah. And they do some far-out stuff. They've gotten Kanchipuram to be established as a World Heritage Center. Comes from the United Nations, and they're starting to do all the research. So, Kanchipuram, South India. They're going to move on to Sri Rangam. Sri Rangam, there's 7 walls, this concentric, well, they're not concentric, yeah, I guess they have the same center, but they're not, they're rectangle-shaped walls. There's 7 of them emanating out with different Gopurams. And the last wall, that was built in Satya Yuga, Prabhupada says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Dhruta Karma is going to go there and investigate the foundation, and they're getting support money from the Indian the Archaeological Study of India. So that's that kind of thing. To confirm that, the Vedas are 5,000 years old. Like if you read about the history of the Jagannath Temple in Puri, the historical record is that the temple is about 2,000 years old. Now we say, of course there's Indradumna, Maharaj in a previous yuga and how it was started, and Lord Brahma installed the flag on top of it. Well, now, in the last 10 years, they've done further study on the foundation, because if something's standing for 2,000 years, what to speak of 10,000 years, you're always renovating it. You go to these old temples and they're repairing this, they're repairing. So now the historical record is that the Jagannath Temple, the current temple, is 2,000 years old. But it's standing on the foundation of a much older temple. So that's the kind of research work they're doing, just to confirm the truths of the Vedas. Next. So we'll get there in a second. This is about the temple they're building in Puri. Yeah, because we want to go quickly. Next. Oh, we'll go back for a second. The temple they're building, it's 100 crores rupees, which is about, I think it's about $12 million. So it's a $12 million project they're building and they're starting in Puri. Next. Jagannath Puri. These are the layouts of the different divisions, all done according to Vastu. It's a huge complex. So next. Here's what it's going to look like. This is a bird's eye view, and this is a side elevation of the new. Because Prabhupada wanted, they wouldn't let the Western devotees into the Jagannath Temple unless you're born in India. You can't, unless you're practicing, whatever. And Prabhupada, even though they invited Prabhupada a number of times, if they wouldn't let his disciples in, Prabhupada wouldn't go in. He wouldn't visit the Jagannath Temple. And Prabhupada said we should build our own temple. And lo and behold, that's actually happening now. And this is what it's going to look like. Okay, next. And it'll be a retreat center. Now, this is another thing. He does this LMS. If you see here, it says LMS. That means Life Management Services, I think. Science. Life Management Science. And what it is, people have so many motivational classes, and they go to whatever it is. So he teaches, it's all Bhagavad Gita and Vedic understanding. But he gives it to big corporations. So here's an example, the kind of audiences that he's speaking to. These are big halls in India. These are, like what is it? I'm trying to think of one of the big, who's that big, it'll come to me in a second. But top computer engineering places, you got the idea. Okay, next. What's that? IIT. Yeah, IIT. That's what I was actually looking at. I'm a little tired last night. So here's an example. They've got over 1,045 participants, number of seminars, so you get an idea. Okay, next. This is something they've also done. We have so many temples coming up in India, we can't keep track of them all. Huge, multi-million-dollar temples and different programs. So this is the India, and it's broken down into different zones. That's just his area. This is Maharashtra, and these are the different all developed into different zones with sub-managers, and it's extremely well organized. Okay, next. Now, this is another one of his initiatives of sustainability. After all, we're supposed to be, I mean, if you look at India, America will be buried under plastic. I mean, now they're finally waking up to it. But since time immemorial, you eat on clay cups, you have leaf plates. When you're done, you throw them in a pit. They all decompose. It becomes rich fertilizer. They don't have these. If you ever go out on 52, the Freeway 52, have you ever noticed how it waves like this? It's almost like being on a little bit of a roller coaster. That's because all of that is a garbage dump. It was built over, and all the garbage is settling, and is blowing off. That's what's actually happening out there. So they don't know what to do with all this. They used to ship it all to, all your what is it, recyclables. They used to ship it all to China, and then ship it back as recycled plastic. It's incredible, the wastage on the thing. So anyway, Vedas are tuned into this. But the reason we're doing this, in addition because it's the right thing to do to protect Mother Earth, but it's an avenue for making far-out contacts. United Nations, the World Bank, all kinds of Doctors Without Borders. We're getting into all those groups, and they're learning life management sciences from the Hare Krishnas. They're learning so many things. Okay, next. So this, I don't have my glasses, but here they are, over 2,000 trees planted. What is it, 50,000 Bhagavad Gita's distributed. So that's the level they're on. This is a United Nations forum, and we were, and they do programs all over India, all over the world actually. But we're becoming, because there's a connection. There's, what do you call that? People of faith and connection with environmental issues. How? Because churches, really, mosques, synagogues, they're a great way of motivating people. The civil rights movement came out of the black churches, and then the white churches got into it, and the synagogues got into it, and it actually turned America. Politicians speak at religious, churches, and because they're forums for getting to people's heads and getting into people's minds. So smart people have realized if we get the faith community to tune into environmental issues, we can do a major work. So we're pointing out to them, you can shut off all the taps, and you can, use only a half a cup of water to brush your teeth, and you can do so many different things. You can get your electric car. What is the single most significant personal act any individual can do to turn the tide against global warming and greenhouse gases and the whole? What's that one single, work with me, stay with me. What is that one single act? Yeah, being a vegetarian. Who was that? Anuttama Prabhu. There's a picture of Anuttama right there. At one of these environmental United Nations, he was a keynote speaker. He was sitting next to the guy who's Greenpeace. Big environmental group, right? You know why they don't? He actually spoke with them and made this point that, the head of Greenpeace is a vegetarian. He's a vegan. So the question was asked, well, why don't you promote it? It's the single, you're working on so many ancillary or subordinate issues. Why don't you go to the heart of the thing? You know what? You know what his answer was? Because he and Anuttama are friends. He confided off the record. We'll lose our donor base. If we get hard on that, we'll lose our donor base. So we know that that's really the big tipping point. But, we're doing the best we can with the other issues. So it's a great forum for us. Okay, next. And I don't have my glasses. I think these are more United Nations. These are all different big heads of different environment, worldwide organizations. So it's great. It gives us, if you can, like if I want you to see a star in the sky, this is the example from Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll say, you see that tree? Okay, you can see the tree. Now you see the third branch? Okay, then you can see the third. If I just tell you, hey, you see that star in the sky? There's so many stars in the sky. How do I know which one you're talking about? But if, hey, wait, you see that tree on the hill? Okay, I can see that. Okay, you see the second branch up? Oh, okay, I got the second branch. You see the space between the second and third branch? You see that bright? Oh, now I can see it. So it's a way of bringing people to Krishna consciousness by using issues they're already interested in. Okay, next. Now they also do all kinds of renovations. Water conservation. So what did Gauranga figure out? There's so many holy tirthas that are in states of, like there's some famous, like Brahmakund in Vrindavan. It was just nothing. It was just a garbage dump. There was not even any water in there. The whole thing was, you didn't even know what it was. And Radhanath Maharaj and his crew in Chaupati picked up on that, and they completely renovated the place. So these are, what does it say? So here's their meetings with different faith leaders, getting everybody motivated. Water rejuvenation program sponsored by the United Nations at Priyakund and Pavanakund. Pavanakund is in Nandagram. It's where Sanatana Goswami used to sit and meditate, and all the, Krishna coming home with the cows in the afternoon, back from Govardhan Hill. All of that was manifest as they're, it's still going on if you have the eyes to see. He used to sit at Pavanakund in Nandagram, and all of that was revealed. Well, there's a kund there. I think there's a next picture. Yeah, let's go next. Let's hope it's there. Yeah, they completely renovated this. It's one of the biggest kunds in Vrindavan. And here they are filling it with water, all funded by United Nations. Pretty far out, huh? Prabhupada gives the example. I hope this doesn't go too far and wide. But he says that he was walking in a park in Denver. I need a clock. I can't see this thing. Anybody have a clock that's lit? That I can push a button and light goes on? Because I can't see with the dark. Prabhupada's walking in Denver. It's a beautiful park, and no one's in the park. Prabhupada says they work hard all week long, the karmis, and with their taxes, they build a beautiful park. But they're so tired of working all week long, there's nobody in the park. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. So who's in the park? No, the devotees. We're chanting japa, we're having our Ratha Yatra. Oh, now it's homeless. But so Prabhupada says that the mouse works hard and builds the hole, right? What happens? Snake comes, eats the mouse, and lives in the hole. So Prabhupada says, the United Nations, they're giving so much money, billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, and Gauranga Prabhu figured out how to use, now they're renovating holy tirthas all over Vrindavan, all over India. And here's an example of one they finished. All under, water rejuvenation, historical, reformation. Okay, next. Now these are just different district officials for different projects. They do, of course I'm jumping ahead a bit. Of course we have our eye camps, so they can read Bhagavad Gita. We have our Bhaktivedanta hospital. There's all kinds of things in different villages all over India. But we also, out of Govardhan Eco Village, they've got different teams that go out. And because there's a problem, well, I'll say who these people are, then we'll say how they're hooked up. Here's headmasters in training for different workshops. They're working in all these different villages, all these different community groups. Here's an example. Next. I think it's next. Well, we'll get there in a second. There's a problem all over the world in agriculture. They're running out of hardy seeds. To give you an example, do you know there's only one type of banana that's actually can be commercially grown? The other ones are all dying out, the different strains. I forget what the name of it is, but when it goes, there's Monsanto, better living through chemicals. That's their motto. Monsanto, if you develop a seed that grows a plant, a corn, and from that corn you save some of the corn aside and you let it go to seed, you can use that as your seeds for the future, right? Well, that's a market loss by Monsanto. If they can develop, genetically modify a seed so it's resistant to a plant, a seed that creates a plant, corn plant, that's resistant to so many different weeds, it's resistant to this kind of pesticide, so it's hardier plant. Okay, great. They'll all want to buy your seed, right? But then they'll keep the plant and make the seed themselves. So, hey, guess what? Why don't we genetically modify the corn that comes so it can't produce a seed that can be grown? Then guess what? Every year the farmer's got to buy new seed crop from us. And it's insidious, and it goes on. And there's all kinds of genetic modifying by Monsanto and different people. Now anyway, it's a whole story. But it's happening. And they're running out of hardy seeds. In California, if you ever drive up the Central Valley, we're a little off the track, but it's worth it. You ever drive up the Central Valley in California? And it's one of the largest agricultural basins or areas in the world. I forget what it is, but here's an example. Because I was looking into it last night. 95% of the pistachios in the world are grown, guess where? Not Iran. Grown in the northern part of the Central Valley in California. 90% of it. And it's billions of tons of pistachio nuts. But here's a problem. With the weather changing, as it's changing, they're having to move further and further north because it's getting warmer and whatever it is. So, and the seeds, the type of seeds and plants aren't keeping up with it. So we're going to start losing crop. We're already losing. I forget what the number is, but it's, so many hundreds of thousands of acres are lost around the world because the weather is changing and the seed base and the plant adaptability is not keeping pace with it. So it's a big problem. On Govardhan Eco Village, they're developing, it's called it's an ancient seed library. There's all different types of rice. Many of them they don't grow anymore because they just want to grow for the market. You grow big basmati rice and you sell it to the market. But Radhanath Maharaj is telling me there's something like 9 major types of rice. People don't eat basmati rice because it can, it's not good for diabetes. If you have diabetes, high blood sugar, white rice will send it right through the roof. There's other types of rice. It's a black rice, delicious, but it reduces glucose or whatever it is in the body. You can actually. So Radhanath Maharaj is saying, you've got a problem with arthritis. There's a particular type of rice they used to eat in ancient India, in Vedic India. You got a problem with this or that, high blood sugar. Oh, you don't eat basmati rice, you eat this type of rice. But all of that's lost. All those old farming techniques, and the seed base, it's all lost. Govardhan, for the last 10 years, Govardhan Eco Village has been going out into the farms, finding out, in the foothills of the Himalayas, there's a village where they still grow that black rice. Get the seed base for it. Store it. So they've developed this seed base, and now the United Nations cluing into what's happening. That, oh my gosh, in 100 years, what are we actually going to grow? We don't even have the seeds or the plant base to eat anything. Of course, it's predicted in Kali Yuga they'll get to the point that there's only seeds and, whatever. So we're developing those in Govardhan Eco Village. And they're going out and teaching farmers how to grow. So that's what all these different meetings are. Next. I don't know what this one is. Anyway, here's a demo. They're going, it says here, Indigenous Seed Exposition. Okay, there they are. So they're showing all the different types of seeds and all the different types of plants. And they go out to the villages, and here they're teaching the farmers how to do that irrigation, how to grow those type of seeds. It's fantastic. And, you know, like billiards, of course, we don't play foolish sports, but you know how you hit the ball and it hits this one and knocks into this one and knocks into that one, and that hits the 8 ball into the, you know, in pocket or whatever it is? By this kind of, this person knows this person, we make a nice relationship with this person and they respect us. Well, they open the door to this person. Well, that person just happens to be friends with the Home Minister of India. Well, that person, the Home Minister of India, just happens to be the father-in-law of the guy in charge of Indian road system. So like that, they're completely renovated. If you've been to Mayapur recently, that main road, they spend about the last 4 years, that road used to be incredibly potholed and just 2 lanes and drunk truck drivers smashing into people. It was a very dangerous and rough road. It's being completely renovated by the Indian highway system all the way to Mayapur. It'll be about from the Calcutta airport, just like they built that, what is it called? Is it the Yamuna Express? And now you can go from Delhi you can get to Vrindavan in 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes, without risking life and limb. It's a peaceful. There's going to be the same kind of road from Calcutta all the way to Mayapur. So it's these kind of connections. We should do it. It's part of Vedic and Varnashram Dharma and teaching people how to live. And if we teach the farmers how they can sow, they're being pushed off by Chinese agribusiness, buying up huge 1,000 acres at a time land in India. And the poor farmer, the villagers, they can't keep up with that. They don't have the investment to buy the 15,000 tractors that go all over India. They don't have the money for that. To buy the Monsanto seeds, because every year they don't have the money for it. They're committing suicide. Indian farmers are committing suicide. I forget what the rate is, but it's just disastrous. So if we can teach them, hang on a minute, here's how you can live, here's how you can produce your own seed, they'll take to Krishna consciousness, and it's working. So that's the kind of thing they're doing. Next. Very innovative. I've got to speed it up. Next, we're going to zip through. So we're almost done, but this is with this one. This is just for fun. Now these farmers are growing, but where's their market? Right? You can grow your produce, but how do you compete with somebody who's got a 19,000 acre farm and everything's mechanized? How do you match that price in the marketplace? They can undersell you. So we're developing a line of food products. It's called, those who've been in ISKCON for a number of years will know Sri Nathji. Sri Nathji was, met Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada stayed in his house. Mahadev, I forget the first name of his, but they were our original friends in Bombay, fought to get the Juhu temple. Prabhupada always stayed at their house when he was in Bombay till the Bombay temple was built. He's passed, they've done so many things for ISKCON. His son is now a disciple of Radhanath Maharaj for a number of years. Got Chaupati Temple going in the whole. He's now starting this business. It's called Haribo Sattvic Products. And I don't have my glasses on, but they have ghee, they have snack items, they have this ekadasi. It's so many things. I got 2 bags of them. Anyway, it's a whole story. That you can just fry up. It's all ekadasi potato chips, but it's not oily and greasy and full of who knows what. So here's their opening of their factory. But what does it say here? Is a farm-to-consumer brand and is committed to drive social impact and empower women and farmers in our country. They are associated with ISKCON and the TOVP and have committed gross margins in temple sales to the TOVP and ISKCON initiatives. So this guy's that son of Mr. Mahadev, Nachi, I'm trying to think what his name is, initiated name. Anyway, he's a big businessman, multimillionaire. He's putting all his resources to starting, they just started this year, and they're going to flood the market with, organic, farm-crafted, high-quality ghee, snack items, rice. So these farmers all have a guaranteed market. And they've committed that the majority of the profit, whatever they don't reinvest in the business, will all go for ISKCON projects and for the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. It's going to grow into a multi-million-dollar business. So that's started by, what does it say here? Haribo, in collaboration with ISKCON Juhu, to distribute 10,000 Mahaprasad sweet samosas prepared using Haribo ahimsa ghee and milk. What is 32? What does that mean? 82? Means top grade, full of cream. Yeah, top grade. For the well-wishers and customers. So that's the kind of thing we're doing. Next. Now, I don't see there it is. Empowering for-profit businesses through the Artha Forum, model to pledge their profits towards social impact projects. India, the Indian government, and it was a good move, they now require, they give the option. Like in America, you can get a tax credit if you give to a nonprofit, certain percentage you can donate, because they wanted to fund nonprofit initiatives. Not that everything's funded by welfare from the government, which, whatever, so many problems with that. So they wanted to, in America, many years ago, they wanted to harness the energy of the nonprofit faith community, social, the civic society. They wanted to harness that energy. So they give people a tax credit if you give to one of those people. If you give to they're doing some social welfare. Salvation Army's got a place for the homeless. Okay, if you give them money, we don't have to pay for it. We don't have to support it. We meaning the government. But, you get a tax credit. We lose a little tax money. Anyway, they found out that giving to small nonprofits is much more efficient than government-funded programs, generally speaking. So the Indian government said, okay, if you make X amount of money, you have to give a certain percentage. The higher up you go, you have to give a certain percentage. You can either pay it in taxes at a higher rate, or you can give a lower rate to a nonprofit that's doing good social work, improving the social fabric of the country. It's billions of dollars. ISKCON, Gauranga Prabhu, and also our Yudhisthira Govinda, who you're going to meet in a couple of days from India, have hooked into that. And we're developing our own group, because there's many, many pious Indian businessmen. And they'd much rather give to building a water filtration place at a village than give the money to the Indian government. Here's a classic. I hope this doesn't go far and wide. Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Jayapataka Maharaj, the Ganga, Mother Ganga, Prabhupada said she wants the darshan of Radha Madhava. The wave action is eating away at the bank. And the land, it always happens like that. Rivers erode, the bank caves in, and you lose land. Now that silt, it comes on the other side of the river, or it goes down the river and forms, enriches the land there. So there's always an erosion and a depositing of soil, and it's always shifting. It's one of the reasons, what the hell? It's one of the reasons, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, that Mayapur had been lost, because the Ganga shifts and the land shifts and everything's moving. So what to do about the Ganga? Eating its way eventually, it'll, at one time it was close to Bhaktisiddhanta Marg, that main road, and it was going to move into, ISKCON property. And all those temples. So the Gaudiya Math temples, along with ISKCON was the organizer. We all went to Delhi and made the presentation to the central government that these are historical sites. They also generate tourism. They generate employment, so many different things. And this heritage and this tourist business is going to be lost, because all these temples are going to, those beautiful Gaudiya Math temples, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Lord Nityananda, so many different things. Chaitanya Yog Pit, they're all got, what is TOVP? They're all going to fall into the Ganga. This is many, many years ago. We paid for a study with Dutch engineers because they built the dikes. They're the best in the world about wave action and erosion and how to control it. I mean, they're the lowlands, the Netherlands. There's a reason they're called the lowlands because, whatever. They came and made a study. They told us how you have to do it, what the cost is. You make it's a whole story. So we went to the central government of India, made this presentation, presented a plan, presented the cost. I forget how much the central minister, home minister in India, I think it was around this, maybe a little more. Let's just, because it's an easy number to work with, they gave $1 million for the project, for, bank erosion, whatever, protection. Right in Delhi, half the money was skimmed off. Okay, you got 500,000. That makes it to Calcutta. Half the money was skimmed right out of the West Bengal government in Calcutta. Now you got 250,000. That goes to Krishnanagar, which is Nadia district. That's the district capital. Half the money stolen there. You got $125,000. That's all that's left. With $125,000, they bought a bunch of bricks because it's a tiered step action, which, whatever, it's a whole way they do it. Spent $125,000 to buy the bricks and deliver them. But the project cost $1 million. So there was no money for the rest of the project. So the bricks just sat there on the banks of the Ganga. They're sitting there 1 year, 2 years. What do the local villagers think? Hey, I need a few bricks for my new house. Somebody, oh yeah, I need a brick for my boundary wall. I know I'm going to get it for free. It's true. All the bricks were stolen. I don't blame the villagers. They're sitting there for 2.5 years. Why not grab a brick or two? I would have done the same thing. So in Delhi, they've checked the box. $1 million went out of the treasury. Project funded. But at the end of the pipe, what happened was absolutely zero, zip, nothing. So we're going out to pious Indians, businessmen, and say, hey, listen, here's our track record. Here's all the projects you're doing. Give us that money. Through this Atharva Foundation, we're recognized by the Indian central government. Help us. We'll use that. We're volunteers. We're monks. The monks, you don't have to pay Gauranga a salary. It's So this Atharva Foundation, and they are, They're combining with so many other. It's growing. It's eventually going to be, because one of the biggest problems in ISKCON is we're underfunded. We've got great ideas. We know what to do, but we don't have the money. And money's, with the gas in the car, you can spin the wheel and honk the horn, but you don't have gas in the tank, you're not going anywhere. This Atharva Foundation, because of this recent law passed by the government of India for this tax credit, they are developing what will be multi-million-dollar fundraising for projects that are ISKCON that we can, like this, renovating the different historical sites. So many, for developing the Govardhan Eco Village, developing that, farmer outreach. Along with that, when they go to the villages and teach the farmers, they also teach Bhagavad Gita. They also do prasadam distribution. They also distribute Bhagavad Gitas. It's going to be so powerful. So that's just one of the ideas, the initiatives of Gauranga Prabhu's developing. Okay, next. I think we're almost done. Yeah, see, that's the logo for this Atharva Foundation. All right, explain. These are all different top, businessmen and their different projects. Okay, next. And that's it. That's Gauranga Prabhu. Okay, so those are some of the initiatives. That's just one GBC men, and those are some of the projects that he's working. This is his quick weekly report, a different GBC member each week. Okay, now we're going to spin